Nigeria infrastructure spent to hit $40 billion by 2050, PWC. How we uncovered, okay, I've taken that already. All right, more story from Vanguard newspaper this morning. No restriction. APC says aspirant freely picking forms to challenge Tinubu. 2027, Makinde rejects religion in successor decision making process. Lagos 2027, Amzat confident as Tinubu backs Guba bid. Osun Guba, APC vows to defeat Adeleke by 10 p.m. on election day. ADC pushes back as court bars INEC from recognizing state congresses. All right, those are the major headlines from Vanguard newspaper this morning. Now let's take daily polls. 2027 APC NAS members walk tightrope as Tinubu bars governors on primaries. Tinubu appoints Bianca Ojukwu Foreign Affairs Minister. ADC will be on ballot David Mark. Adeleke accuses APC of plotting Osun election disruption. Fire God's Business Plaza in Kano. Buni appoints Goje as Yobe SSG. More news from Daily Post this morning. Ex-Yobe SSG Wali emerges Boni's preferred candidate for 2027 governorship race. 2027 ADC not for sale. We field presidential candidate Kashuku. APP dismisses court's nullification of parties' nationwide congresses. Osun Guba, APC vows to defeat Governor Adeleke on election day. All right, that's the stories. Those headlines are from Daily Post this morning. Now let's take the Nation newspaper before we go for a moment. All right, from the Nation, APC aspirants set up big battles for tickets in state. Supreme Court to determine ADC fate today. How African can maximize global mineral economy by Alake. Uguda's appointment, Tinubu made right choice, says Senate. IG on Efurun shooting, killer cops to face disciplinary action. Uatada to plateau youth, key into Tinubu's economic policy for a better future. Federal government intensifies push for online verification enrollment for pre-2004 civil servants. Obevowori calls for national conference to address national challenges. All right, those are the major headlines. Let's take a bit of entertainment from Daily Post. My life was easier with multiple women. That's coming from Akon. Olakunle Churchill denies marriage to Rosie Mura, dismisses divorce claims. My father doesn't know I'm an actor, Uzo Arukwe. All right, let's move away from that. Let's check leadership before we finally go on a break. Tinubu fires NMDPRA CEO after just 4 months in office. Rotary moves to fill library gap in FCT schools. FCT aligns development agenda with global sustainability goals. Minister. Cashew industry needs sector savvy leadership. Adeshokon. Unity rally. Kwara APC aspirants, leaders, members locked down Ilorin. Alright, those are the major headlines from leadership this morning. Time check is 7:39. Let's go for a moment. And by the time we return, that will delve straight into the details of the newspaper review for this morning. Keep it locked to JDN Radio 101.5 FM. Thank you for joining us. In case you're just tuning in, this is JDN Radio 101.5 FM, and welcome to newspaper review for this morning. My name is Omolola Kalejai Damisa. With me this morning is Comrade Barnabas Fagunloye. Good morning to you, Comrade.
Good morning, Damisa. Good morning,
How do you do?
people at home.
You look different this morning.
How?
I didn't. Okay, because you're not wearing your cap.
Okay.
All right. Let's delve into the details of the newspaper review this morning. All right, let's take Vanguard newspaper. With this headline, 2027 polls, Supreme Court to determine PDP ADC fate today. Okay, today is the final day, is the D-Day that we are to hear from Supreme Court. So we know if PDP and ADC are going to be, having their presidential candidates for today. So we know if they are going to bid on the ballot paper. So what's your take on this? What
Well,
should we expect from the judiciary?
we cannot say yet what the judgment will be. It's like we preempt the court. But either the judgment or not, PDP will be on the ballot. It's just that PDP of Wiki
Will be on the ballot
will be on the ballot.
with no candidate.
As preferred by Wiki, the grand commander of PDP, that he doesn't want to have presidential candidate. But of recent, I saw a write-up that a presidential ticket is pegged to be 50 million. I don't know how true is that.
So how much are they giving it out in other parties?
It's 100 million in APC.
100 million.
100 million in APC. ADC is here to decide. But today's judgment will clarify if ADC will be on the ballot or not. But either the judgment or not today, PDP will be on the ballot. Just that the faction loyal to Wiki will be on the ballot.
With no candidates to fill in.
For presidency or governorship.
For presidency now?
They choose not to have, according to Wiki, that there is no qualified person.
In PDP?
No person with pedigree to contest with Tinubu. They all don't have qualities to be a president. So they will collapse structure for Tinubu. That's in PDP. That's in Wiki's PDP. So for the faction of Simakide and Turaki, the judgment of today will decide the next move. Also for ADC, the judgment of today will decide the next move, whether the party won't be able to produce candidate or should go ahead. But I'm afraid that due to political undertone, ADC may not. That is my opinion. But let's see what the judgment will say.
And do you see ADC having plan B?
Of course, they should have plan B. When something like this happens, what will happen is a coalition. Since they cannot produce a candidate, and they will look for a small party, then they form coalition with that party. It happened in Rivers State. Wike don't just start this, what he's doing today. He started in Rivers. He made sure that APC does not produce candidate when he was running for second time. So APC, led by Amechi, formed coalition with AAC in Rivers State. That was where Awara came out and almost won the election, if not the influence of the sitting governor.
Okay, so what do you have to say about the high cost of presidential ticket, the rates that are selling the ticket? What do you have to say about this? Do you see this as a means of not, allowing, should I call me Nigerians not to be able to afford this ticket? So that is why we have this a very homogeneous amount as presidential tickets for the prize.
Of course, in Nigeria, we know that if you want to contest for even rep, Senate, it must be money bag. If you are not money bag, you cannot win.
Would you say these are the fact or the part of the problem we are facing in democracy?
Yes, of course, it is part of it. When we have monetized elective offices, people borrowed money, people sold their properties to contest election. By the time they win, I think the first thing to do is to fill up what they've missed, to overfill up. And that is why at the end of the day, they have nothing to offer. Because of what their political party have pushed them to do. Will you pay presidential ticket for 100 million? That is just a tip of an iceberg. That is just a drop of water in an ocean compared to the money you will still spend. You peg it for 50 million naira for governorship. And look at it. When you pay that 50 million naira, that is just a drop of water compared to consultations, awareness programs, this and that. And by the time you spend billions for campaign, and eventually you win.
Would you say this also affects their effectiveness in office?
Yes, of course. If I've borrowed up to 10 billion naira to run election and eventually win, do you think I will not pay back? I will not pay back what I have borrowed.
Do you not mean? Would you say with this? Do you mean we should restructure, or we should just break down the democracy and try maybe military rule? Would you suggest that? Because the democracy we are clamoring for is not working. The rich are not making it working for the masses. So with all this, that this has been going on for a very long time, and it has been a circle. So would you just suggest, or would you say we should just forget democracy here in Nigeria and just adopt, like Burkina Faso, we should just adopt a military rule?
Well, I will not call for military rule. I will not call for it because it's against the law, because military intervention has been outlawed. But then I would like to say that the military administration we had in the past is far better in terms of achievement. But then we will always call for better democracy than military, because when military take over and there is this bloodshed, killings, extrajudicial killings, we are still enjoying a little freedom of speech. In fact, freedom of speech, a higher percentage of freedom of speech, expression, movement, or whatever. In the military regime, you say something like this, you can be going on your way and they gun you down. That is it. So there are some things we may not be able to enjoy on the military. So we will not call for military intervention. Rather, we will hold the government accountable for them to change this pattern of democracy. This is a crazy democracy they are practicing with us. The price of everything just has to come down, including price of the sales of ticket. They should afford people who have that qualities, who have that leadership skills to rule, to lead. But because everything is being monetized, he or she cannot afford it. Now you don't have to relax and say, okay, until you make the money. And with this style of politics, it means you have to be in that caucus. You have to be in government. You must have been making money, keeping money, stealing money, embezzling money, keeping it together for a particular election. Except we sit down together and reason, how do we make democracy the best for Nigeria? How do we make it work? Then all these suggestions will come in. Then we now have a democratic practices that is acceptable to all.
All right, let's move away from that story. Let's take this. How we uncovered plots to overthrow Tinubu amid Supreme Court. We had it, these people have been in detention. The people that have said they were trying to overthrow the Tinubu's regimes, and we have a soldier from the Nigerian Army Corps of Military Police whose identity was shielded by order of the court, who mounted the witness box and testified against the 6 alleged mastermind of the alleged coup plot. What do you have to say about this?
Well, coup. It's a very deadly thing. Criminal under the law. In fact, it may attract death penalty. This is democracy. In as much as the coup fail, they know that they are failing in all aspects of life. They have failed. Because their name will be written in kind of, when we were in school, there's a book they call Black Book. I don't know, maybe such a book still exists. Once your name enters Black Book, that is, you don't have good name. Everywhere you go, if you are to reference to that school, You don't have a good name. So the names of those people will be on black book of Nigeria. But then let them face the trial. Let them defend themselves. If the allegation before them is true or not. But now the person that is witnessing against them, we must be careful. That is why they will never.
Identity has been shielded.
In fact, I will advise the government that it does not appear in court at all. The voice just have to be played. Just that if an investigative journalist, you investigate a very powerful case, you report to your boss, it will be our correspondent. Your name will never be mentioned. Should your name be mentioned at your face and people know you outside, you are dead. That is a kind of horrible country we are. So that is just it. The name of that person can never be mentioned, and that shouldn't be anybody's problem because it is dangerous. So let them, as they are facing trial, that is the best thing. After the trial, judgment. But I doubt if they will survive it, if they are truly guilty of that coup.
But you see, the justice is being delayed somehow. They have been in custody for how long now?
They have been in custody for how long? That is Nigeria, one of the Nigeria's problem. Not until this Babafemi Falana spoke out that you should charge them to court and stop this in-house trial. So it was after that they are being charged to court, and they will tell you that they keep them there for proper investigation.
All right, let's talk about this incident that happened during the course of the week, the killing of one 28-year-old man in Delta State, Mene by name, which they said the police, saw a wheelbarrow which contained some ammunition and was killed right away. What do you have to say about this? Even though the IG has come out to say it will be dismissed, the policeman in question that did this will be killed. What do you have to say about this extrajudicial killing, about this police? What do you think? And do you think they need orientation, the policemen? And also, most especially, is always about policemen. You could remember the year 2020 about the NSAS. Now, do you think it's high time, not just school starts living certificate? I mean, ordinary school starts living certificate, primary 6 living certificate should not just be a qualification that will be used to recruit personnel into the force, especially the police.
Well, I don't believe that should be the solution. Number one, the video is so pathetic. Do you know that if there was no one to video them, police will defend that guy, that useless guy, that the criminal is trying to overpower him? It kind of a frame up. But thank God for a good Samaritan that was able to video that. That is why I tell people, when you have a violent encounter with police, no matter how they can brutalize you, try to get pictorial evidence or video, though it is difficult. Now, this is my suggestion to government. They should make a law that any police that get involved in extrajudicial killing should be killed. They should sign it. The verdict should be there. Supreme Court written order should be there. Then only for the president or whoever to sign. You kill somebody in an extrajudicial manner, you should be killed. I don't know why some police, they feel they hide the animal in them. They claim to be Orailu, and they are master. Not all. They are master under uniform. You see police with beard as if you are far or hardened criminal. Just at times with a minor encounter, they slap you, they insult you, they insult your family. What they ordinarily wouldn't do with that uniform. So not until federal government come out with a very strict law.
That's what I'm asking. Them. Do you think it is because, when they say recruit now, you see people with ordinary school leaving certificate, primary C's, maybe, should we say, because this is why they have the rascality in police force, because the people that are being recruited there, they are not that educated. Do we say because of this, should that stop?
And that is not only where you have the rascality. If you meet them, even those that are ranked.
But the police force is too much.
That even just in the police force, even those that are ranked, they behave so animalistic at times. Not few of them. And this you can only get when you have evidence. When you say it, you just complicate your issue. So if government put a law on ground and they read it to them before taking up, in fact they read it before they sign, either premises or JSS3 certificate, they know that, oh, if I should do this, death is the answer. They would not. It is Nigerian government that will wake up to responsibility that not police should kill anyone extrajudicial in an extrajudicial manner. So until when that law is in place, then all this nonsense will stop. Have you seen a place where police is talking to somebody and is slapping the person? That's an assault. When they talk, they don't want you to talk back.
Yes, of course.
They don't want you to express yourself, especially when they are doing the wrong thing and you are challenging them. They bring up animal behavior in them, not all. And all this has to stop if they don't want to bring out another nationwide insurrection against the police. We know, we believe, we accept that the society cannot be crime-free without them. But then they shouldn't add to the crime they're supposed to prevent. But I trust the police authority once a particular police officer or one of them want to defame or want to destroy the system. They will either remove or give the person adequate punishment that is due. But this guy, the police IG has recommended his dismissal.
Guy, the mother was said that this is the second son that was said to be killed by police.
So the family should take up the matter, even though the police is dismissed.
What do you think the government should do to this woman? What do you think should be done to the bereaved, to the victim, and also to the bereaved?
Well, that is if according to the Police Act, that if any police officer kills someone in an extrajudicial manner, the police should compensate. I don't think there's any compensation to that.
But do you think that dismissal and criminal prosecution is enough for this to serve as a justice? As a judgment for this act.
That is action.
Compensate the woman.
That is action from the police to reprimand the erring officer.
Yeah.
The parent of the deceased should approach court and ask for damages. So I think with that, and evidence is there, the court will say something reasonable.
Thank you very much for doing this with us this morning, Comrade Barnabas Fagunloye.
You're welcome.
Your parting words, please.
Well, as I always say that it is election time. If the PVC registration is still on, or whenever they open it,
that's closed.
18 and above, they may still open it.
Okay.
18 and above, go and register when they open it. And those that have registered, don't say you will sit down in your house and eat pepper soup when it's election day. Election is coming, gear up, go out and vote for the candidate of your choice on election day.
Thank you so much for doing this with us once again, Comrade.
You're welcome.
That's a wrap for today on Newspaper Review on JDN Radio 101.5 FM. Newspaper Review returns tomorrow morning by 7:30 to 8. My name is Omolola Kalejai Damisa. Keep it locked to JDN Radio 101.5 FM, where we broadcast for